First one's an international man of mystery. He's been known to have ties to the Saudi prince, the Sultan of Brunei, a few U.S. presidents. He's Dave Mason from Bet Online. Dave, what's going on in paradise today?
All good, man. We're looking forward to this huge fight card. So, yeah, absolutely. 15 fights and 3 title fights. Can't get any better for that for a UFC fan like myself.
Yeah, we got a ton of action today. Next up is one of my good friends, one of the biggest sports bettors in the world. There's an urban legend out there that when sports bettors are in trouble, they flash the bat signal and he comes to the rescue with a bunch of winners. He's Gotham City Vig. You ready to fire?
I'm ready. I wanted to share a little story real quick. I went in search of Dave Mason, and I hired someone down in Costa Rica to try to find a picture of Dave because I really wanted to see him. And this is what they came up with.
Bring it over to the other side a little bit.
Let me see what
and I paid money to get this. And I said to my guy, I said, that looks like Fabio. And he said, well, you said he's a supermodel. And this was his name in Costa Rica. So there you go.
Right. That's me, all right.
So good to put a picture with a face.
The gig is up. Yeah, absolutely.
Dave, with this big of a card, I mean, are you guys seeing a lot more influx of action coming in? Has it started coming in? When does it usually come in on a day like this?
It depends on the fight, the title fights is the main event and the co-main event, the women's fight. They've been getting a lot of action all week. But it's coming to more fight day. It starts piling in, especially when the afternoon comes along, and it's one of those things that kind of bothers me, how people just ignore the odds throughout the week, and that's when a lot of the best values out there. You guys know that. You got to pay attention to these odds all week, but it's no different than any other sport. So many public bettors just come in last minute to place their bets, and especially in fights, there's no sport really where the odds move like this UFC MMA stuff. So I mean, if you're limiting yourself to just betting day of, man, you could lose out on a lot of value. But no, it's going to be a big bet card, especially with 15 fights on a dang card. There's going to be a lot of action on it.
All right, let's get right down to business, man. It's a big card. First fight's Trevin Jones versus Mario Bautista. Where'd this line open up at, Dave? Where is it at now? Is there any sharp money on the side or the total here?
Bautista opened minus 205. He's currently minus 225. Jones is now plus 190. Over under 2.5 rounds. Over minus 170. Nothing sharp here. Bet online. 52% of the action's on Bautista, but 92% is on the under.
Gotham City, did you fire on this game at all? Did you place any wagers here?
So we took a look at this fight here. They both haven't fought in a little bit of time. The last time that Trevin Jones fought was against Timur Valiev, and it was on very, very short notice. And a lot of people remember he kind of got front kicked in the stomach, I think it was. And then he came back to win the fight, but then the fight was overturned by the Association for MMA. And so it's kind of interesting because Trevin Jones is a southpaw, and this is the first southpaw that I think Mario Bautista is going to face here. He has had a full fight camp, and he only had 36 hours of notice in his previous fight. I think Mario Bautista is the more rangier fighter, the more better movement, quick in and out fighter. I do think that Trevin Jones carries a little bit more power here in this fight. It's a pass for me. If anybody's leaning, Bautista by decision at plus $1.40 is a possibility, but it's a pass for me.
All right, no problem. All right, let's go to the next fight. Dave, Cruz versus Medic. Where'd this line open up? Any sharp action here on the side or the total?
Medic opened at minus 150. He's currently minus 175. Take back on Cruz plus 150. Over under 1.5 rounds. Over minus 141. The action is 50-50 here at Bet Online. Actually 64% of the cash is on Medic, but the over under is 50-50.
Gotham City, did you fire on this one?
No, and I'll explain why here. A lot of people like this Euros Medic because he is an explosive fighter. He has good kicks. He has good range. He trains out of King's MMA. The problem for me here is that a lot of his fights have been in Alaskan MMA, and a lot of that competition up there is suspect. The interesting thing here, though, is that in Alaskan MMA, he's been fighting at a much higher weight class. So he's been fighting guys that are a lot bigger than him here. And he's fighting Cruz, and Cruz changed camps for this when he's training out of Stream Couture. The interesting thing here is that Cruz has a 7-inch reach advantage here in this fight, and they're the same height. So that's very interesting. The lean either way would have to be like Cruz by decision, because it's like plus $3. But it's a pass for me in this fight because there's not enough footage here for me to see Medic against great competition yet.
Would you lay the minus 140 to the over 1.5 on the fight?
I think Cruz is a durable guy. I think that's probably another lean too as well, because I think with his length that could be a very good play in this fight as well too.
All right, let's go back to Dave. Dave, next fight on the board is Sousa versus Lemos. Where'd this line open up? Where's it at right now? What's the price on the total?
Lemos is open to minus 150 up to minus 210. Over under 2.5 rounds with the over. You got to pay minus 270. Who's at the 80% of the action is on the under, and about 57% of the action is on Sousa. Nothing too sharp here. Bet online.
Gotham City, did you take anyone in this matchup?
Yeah, Amanda Lemos here has the huge power advantage. She also has probably the output advantage. The only problem is in these women MMA fights, you just can't handicap sometimes some of the power that they can absorb at 115 pounds. Sousa's a lot better on the ground. She has a grappling advantage in this fight. This is a pass for us so far on the card. We just don't have enough information to make any play. The lean here is with Amanda Lemos and her power. The only worry is her durability if it gets in the late second, early third rounds, because Sousa has a little bit better cardio advantage.
Would you look to play the under then if you like the favorite? I mean, would you parlay it in any way? You can get the under at plus what, 210, under 2.5?
Yeah, she definitely has the power advantage here, and I think she has the much better movement on the feet, and she's very, very aggressive. A lot of these women's fights, though, tend to kind of last because once the power output in the first a few minutes of that first round, it kind of dwindles down usually a little bit, and that's why it's a pass for us on the fight so far.
Let's go to the next fight on the card, Dave. Jake Matthews versus Sean Brady. Brady basically a 2-1 favorite. Is there any sharp money on the side or on the total here?
Yeah, there is actually some sharp action on Matthews at about plus 200. This one opened up at Brady minus 170. It bounced around a little bit. Brady's currently minus 210. Like I said, sharp action on Matthews up plus 200. 64% of the action is on Brady. 60% is on the under, which is 2.5 rounds under is plus 170.
Gotham City Vig. Do you like anyone in this matchup?
Yeah, we actually do. This is kind of the first one, and a lot of times we want to kind of be on some of the sharp side. I think the sharp side here on Matthews is a price buy at plus 200. I think if you look at Sean Brady, I think you'll see that I think he's going to have the quicker hands, the better strike. I think he's more powerful than Jake Matthews is. I think Jake Matthews is durable. In his last fight, he did what he needed to do against Diego Sanchez. I think it was a little bit underwhelming for some people. But this is going to be, Jake Matthews hasn't fought the elite competition in the UFC so far. He's done what he's supposed to do, but he just hasn't fought elite competition. Sean Brady hasn't lost. He's 13-0. He trains out of Philly where you live. And, I like guys that haven't lost, and I think he hasn't found a way to lose. The play I like here, though, I think the price is a little bit too high, and I understand why people bought Jake Matthews. Sean Brady by decision, I think, is plus $1.35. I think that's the right side in the fight.
Would you do anything with the total?
No, I think it goes the full distance. I think both these guys are super durable. I think that Jake Matthews is really hard to finish, and I think Sean Brady will wear on him throughout the fight. And I think that by decision is probably the best odds in the fight that we can find.
Next fight on the board is Ulberg versus Kennedy. How do you say his name? Zekcha. Dave, you got anything on this fight? Any sharp money? Where the public's going? Anything on the total?
The odds are currently Ulberg is minus 230, over under 1.5 rounds, over is minus 172. Nothing too sharp here. 54% of the action's on Ulberg and 91% is on the over.
Batman, did you do anything here?
So This is the interesting fight here, and this is one of the things that I had talked to some people about today. And there's an interview with the head coach of City Kickboxing, Eugene Grabman, and he gave this interview where he was talking about the UFC giving him options for his fighter to really fight his first UFC fight. And a lot of people talk about, does this really happen? Does the UFC favor people? And it's kind of hard to know unless you're on the inside. But he gave an interview this week and said that the UFC sent him 5 opponents and they got to select this opponent. Now, the interesting thing is that the guy they selected has a 6-inch reach advantage. He has very little grappling skills, very little ground game. And honestly, there's not a whole lot of tape on Ulberg to know what his grappling skills are, even though he trains at an elite gym at City Kickboxing MMA. Without that, I don't think that it's possible really to make a play in this fight. The lean here for sure, because of his striking, his aggressiveness, and where he trains is inside the distance at plus $1.20 here. I think that makes some sense. But again, it's just a lean because there's not enough information, not enough video to see Carlos Ulberg fight.
All right, let's go to the next fight on the card. You got Jordan Espinoza versus Tim Elliott. Dave, where'd this line open up at? Where is it at currently? Any sharp money here? Anything on the side or the total?
Yeah, Elliott opened minus 130, then he went to a dog, and now he's back up to minus 125. The date back on Espinoza's plus 105. Over under 2.5 rounds. The over at minus 205. We did take some sharp action on Elliott when he moved his dog at about plus 105. 78% of the action is on Elliott as well, and 67% is on the under, which is 2.5, which currently pays plus 165.
Dave, when you see the money fluctuate back and forth like that, is that because there's opposition on the fight, or is that information entering the market where maybe they got off the fight? Why do you see that money fluctuate like that?
It's just, it's a little bit of both. Like I said 10 minutes ago, that's why you can't ignore these early UFC odds. That's why you can't just come in fight day and place your bets. That nothing moves like these UFC odds. I mean, that's not uncommon for prices to flip flop and or move 40 cents either way, or even more sometimes. So it's a lot of time it's just some sharp action, just the way the market's moving, etc. Early public action will move it a little bit, but you ball that all up and these odds move like crazy. To get those early odds, and our MMA odds is open before any other book, so you're going to be able to bet the softest odds for UFC at Bet Online, because again, we're originating 90% of these cards.
Now, Dave, the limits early in the week, do they change on fight day? How much do they increase, if they increase at all? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, we open them, let's say if there's a card 2 months from now, we'll open them for a nickel. But, by fight day, they're $3,000, $5,000. Plus, we have that rebet functionality, too, where you can bet that even if it is a nickel on day one, if the card's three months away, you can bet another nickel a minute later, or odds change, whichever comes first. So you can just keep rebetting. But again, if the limits are raised up to 3,000, 5,000, whatever, the same thing applies. If the odds move, you can bet another 3,000, or in 61 seconds if the odds don't move. So you can just keep betting it, betting it over and over again.
You can just keep firing. Batman, anytime you see the money fluctuate like it has on this fight, now I'm not saying you have a position but on this fight here, but does that make you rethink things? Does that make you maybe dig a little deeper into your handicap and try and figure out why that line is moving? Maybe you missed something when you're looking at this fight, or are you so focused on the side that you want, that you like, and you're ready to get down, that nothing will change your mind?
The weigh-ins can change my mind sometimes, how people look on the scale, some information coming out during that time. I think that sometimes seeing the weigh-ins is valuable to kind of, take in information and make decisions. I agree with Dave. We really like to try to play the day of the weigh-ins and kind of not play, Saturday on the day of the UFC, because there's so much action and volume and swings. We are probably giving up a little bit of value, like he said, and we do like value. But sometimes the weigh-ins are really important to us to see, what they look like. And there's a couple fighters in this card, I think, coming up that we'll be able to talk about, that maybe some of the weigh-ins have maybe kind of helped us make maybe a little bit of a decision. In this fight, we like Tim Elliott here. And I know that might surprise some people because Jordan Espinoza is a little bit younger. He's probably taken a little bit less damage. But Tim Elliott made the switch to camps to James Krause. He's been kind of talked about a little bit because a lot of his fighters have been getting a lot of fights recently here. The interesting thing is I think that James Krause and his team have gotten him a game plan. He was this very wild, stylistic, just march forward fighter. And I think he's become a little bit more kind of constructive in how he fights now. And I think that they've developed game plans around it. Jordan Espinoza is 2-3, I think, in the UFC. His last fight was David Dvorak, which he lost. Pretty underwhelming in that fight. Tim Elliott has fought a murderer's row. He's fought Brandon Royval, Askarov, Davison Figueiredo, and Demetrius Johnson. And I mean, those guys are elite fighters. And when Espinoza stepped up in competition, he hasn't performed well. I think the experience here wins it for Tim Elliott. We like him. We got it at $1.10. I think it's up a little bit now. And I think the other thing to maybe place a small portion of the bet on the prop bet is Tim Elliott by decision. I believe at Bet Online it was plus 225. I looked it up just before we came on, and I think that's the odds that they had on Bet Online.
That's great stuff, man. All right, let's go to the next fight. You got Cara France versus Rogerio Bontorin. Dave, you got anything going on here? Any sharp money? Which way did this line move? And is there anything on the total?
Yeah, Cara France opened about minus 205 down to minus 135. 64% of the cash is on the other side. Bontorin, it was currently plus 115. 75% is on the under, which is under 2.5, plus 170. Nothing too sharp here at Bet Online on this fight.
Batman, when you see a line drop 80 cents or 90 cents like this fight drop, does it present value now on the other side when it dropped that much? Or, I mean, how do you look at this fight?
We call this line shaping. Sometimes we have to let it shape. And right now it's shaped perfectly for us. At $1.30, $1.35, we like Cara France at that position. At 205, I didn't like him at that position. I didn't think there was any value. I think now there's real value on Cara France. He has a 2-inch reach advantage. I think he's fought a little bit upper level competition. I think he's going to be the much faster fighter. I think he's going to be in and out with his speed. He's got great takedown defense in this fight. He's 88%. Rogerio is definitely the more powerful guy. He absolutely can catch Cara France here because he is so powerful, but he tends to wear just a little bit, and Cara can keep that pace up. I think that at $1.35, this is another play for us here in the card.
To go back on what you said earlier about the weigh-ins, like you can look at all the metrics, you can look at all the film, previous fights, opponent strength. But if you see a guy on that scale that doesn't just, look right, do you throw all the rest of the stuff out the window? Or, I mean, how do you approach that?
I would make it a no play. If that shows that big a difference to me, I don't know that I would go to the other side. I just think that I would make it a no play. And, we're just trying to find value for sure.
I got you. All right, Dave, let's go to Joseph with the Benavidez versus Askarov. Where'd this line open up? Where's it at now? Is there any sharp money on either fighter? And did they make a move on the total?
Askarov opened minus 115, so about a pick 'em. He's currently minus 137. Take back on Benavidez plus 117. Over under 2.5 rounds with the over at minus 220. We actually have two-way sharp action here, so just guys getting the best of the number on each side.
Batman, did you fire on this one?
No, we definitely lean Askarov here, and it's not a play, but it's a lean for sure, but it's not a play for us. It's really a bet against Joseph Benavidez. And the reason why is, 5 years ago, this would have been a Joseph Benavidez play for sure. The last two fights he's had have been brutal losses to Davison Figueiredo. And, he's now up in age. I think this is towards the end of his career. I think he's trying to get a win, maybe to kind of retire, go out of the UFC. I don't think he wants to go out like that. But Askarov has fought some really great competition. In his last fight, I think fought Alexander Pantoja. And that fight showed me that he can last with some really, really high-level talent here. I think that Askarov just kind of hangs around and maybe wears on him a little bit here. It is a lean for us, but we would lean towards Askarov here, even at $1.30 price.
All right, let's go to the next fight on the screen. Kyler Phillips versus Yadong. Dave, how's this line moving? How's it getting shaped? Is there any sharp money on either side?
Yadong open minus 190, currently minus 175. 53% of the cash is on Phillips. 77% is on the under 2.5, which is currently plus 135. And this is another fight that has two-way sharp action. Yeah, Phillips at plus 150 or better, and Yadong minus 140 or better. So a little opposing sharp action, just getting the best of the number.
Dave, when you see these massive line swings from one way to the other, are they that much stronger than a fight that maybe moves 20, 25 cents compared to one that moves 80 cents or $1 or maybe even more? Or do they even out at the end?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the massive line swings too. They're early on. Like I said, we're originating this stuff, so that's why I've always kind of liked UFC. Betting UFC was always my best sport when I was betting a lot more because you're going against one guy's opinion. One or two guys' opinion. They're opening this stuff as opposed to NFL and NBA and that stuff you can do. A bookie can do blindfolded. So those early openers are going to be off sometimes, a lot of the times. But that early money's going to shape it, even though the limits will only be a nickel. You have some pretty smart guys that you respect betting that, and we do have some consultants we talk to, and that helps shape the odds. But by fight day, when all the action's coming in, that by fight week, the number is shaped and it's sharp, and we're not losing long term on those.
So basically, those early moves are basically just price shopping. They're not really true positions. They can always come back later and bet the other side, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You get two-way sharp action all the time. You get some scalp going on. Like, why not? When the odds move that much, you always get some scalpers.
Batman, you like anyone in this fight?
Yeah, we do. I like Kyler Phillips. I think he's a dog. I think he's like plus 135. Is that right, Dave? Is that what you said?
It's actually plus 150 now.
Plus 150. Yeah, I like Kyler. We like Kyler Phillips here. Kyler Phillips is going to have a 5-inch reach advantage in this fight. I think that he has the better overall MMA game from striking, top control, and everything. Song Yadong is a great athlete. He's explosive. He's very fast. In his last fight, he fought Marlon Vera. A lot of people had Marlon Vera winning, as did I, but they gave him a split decision. And the Cody Stamann fight was a draw. I just think that Kyler Phillips has a really great chance as a dog price here to cash for some people with his game. And we like him here. And at $1.50, we really like that price.
Do you like dogs that have a little bit of pop more than you like the dogs that really can't punch as hard or don't have that, the choke out in the UFC? How do you approach betting these dogs, Batman?
I look at, I try to watch fights. So I watch the last couple fights they fight. I like to see a little bit of kind of what they're doing. I like to see some of the statistics in MMA. I think MMA is becoming better statistically based. If you look at this fight, the Kyler Phillips strikes per minute are significantly higher than Song Yadong, and he has a significant decreased absorption rate in this fight. And when you get those two things, plus a 5-inch reach, plus a dog price, plus what I've seen on film, I mean, I think it's the right side as a dog price, and I think it's an excellent play.
You got to fire. Yeah, you got to fire. All right, let's go to the next fight, Dave. Who is it? It's Casey Kenny versus Dominic Cruz. Which way this line is? Which way is this line headed? Is there any sharp money on either side? And did they steam the total at all?
This opened about a pick'em, I believe. Kenny's now minus 131. The ex-champ Dominic Cruz is plus 111. Over under 2.5 rounds. Over minus 285. 76% of the action is on Cruz. 71% is on the over. Nothing too sharp here at Bet Online.
Batman, when you see a certain fight where it's top heavy, where it's tilted towards a certain fighter, and the public's all on that side, do you incorporate that a little bit in your handicapping? Public perception? You there, Batman?
Sorry, I lost you there for a second. I'm back. I got you.
What I was saying was,
okay.
Like anytime you look at the bet splits and you see a certain fighter that's real top heavy with the bet splits and it's the public side, do you incorporate that a little bit into your handicapping, or it just, it doesn't really make a difference to you?
Absolutely. You have to look. It's just part of the puzzle. It's just part of trying to figure it out here, with how it goes. So this is the weigh-in kind of discussion we were going to have here and the talk and everything like that. Dominic Cruz is 35 years old. He has fought the best of the best. He's fought the elite competition. His last fight was Henry Cejudo. He got TKO'd. His fight before that was Cody Garbrandt. He lost a decision. He's fought all the best guys that the UFC has to offer. Casey Kenny has fought lower competition. He's a younger guy. He's taken obviously a little bit less damage with that. The interesting thing here is when I saw Dominic Cruz show up at the weigh-in, I could not believe how much physically bigger Dominic Cruz was. He looked in some of the best shape of his life that I have seen him in. I think that he has committed himself to this fight, to winning this fight. The public's on it. So we originally liked Casey Kenny a little bit, and that weigh-in just put us at a pass on this fight because Dominic Cruz looks like he's in the best shape of his life, and his striking differential and his movement is a little bit difficult to understand. So I think this is a super close fight. I know why the public's on Dominic Cruz, because they know his name, and he looked awesome on the scale. It's going to make it a pass for us, and it should be a great fight to watch.
Next fight is Santos versus Rakic. Dave, any action, any movement, any line shaping here? What's going on with this fight?
A lot of movement here. Rakic opened briefly minus 260. Currently, he's minus 181. Santos is plus 156. Over under 1.5 rounds. Over minus 155. The action is pretty much 50-50 on odds to win. 78% is on the over. Once again, it's over under 1.5, minus 155 over. We did take some sharp action on Rakic at about minus 160 or better.
Batman, you like the favorite here in the under, or are you going the other way with the dog?
Well, I like Alexander Rakic in the fight here. I think that Alexander Rakic movement is going to give Thiago Santos problems. Before the John Jones fight, I thought that Thiago Moreta Santos was one of the elite fighters in the UFC. In that fight, he had to have double knee surgery after that fight and was out for quite a while. And then he came back and fought Glover Teixeira. Glover out-grappled him, got him to the ground, submitted him. I think you're going to see Rakic throw some sharp punches in and out, throw some leg kicks. I think you're going to see him kind of press him against the cage and get on him. And I think that Alexander is the right side in this fight. I just think sometimes when you have the level of knee surgery and you don't have that same flash and knockout power and ability and movement, that it really hinders you, because the biggest part of Santos's game was his leg kick game. It was devastating. He has this switch kick, which was just incredible, his power that he generated. And I think that's less now. I think his hands are good, but I just think that Rakic has the overall better shot in this fight. And I think that at $1.60, even now at $1.80, Rakic is the right side. And we like it here in this fight.
Next fight up, Dave. Makachev's a huge, minus 450 favorite over Dober. How's this fight shaping up? Who are they betting? Is there any sharp money here? Is anyone laying that big price? And is there anything on the total?
Yeah, well, the sharps did take the big price at minus 350 on Makachev. He's currently up to minus 450, open about minus 400, so one up and down a little bit. Over under 2.5 rounds, the over minus 150. Let's see, 74% of the action is on the under, which pays plus 120. So once again, the sharps are on Makachev, minus 350. The public is on the other side. Drew Dober, as of now, it's our second biggest liability. That's, again, once you see fighters in that plus 350, plus 400 on up range, the public likes betting those dogs, and I'll get to more of that later with the women's co-main event. So yeah, sharp on Makachev and the public's on Dober.
I guess they're tying them into different parlays too, and almost everything, right, Dave?
Yeah, well, usually the parlays with MMA, usually that's, that'll be keyed in on a favorite. They like the all chalk parlays. But when you're talking straight bets and you're talking those plus 350, plus 400 on up underdogs, it's just the public, that's placing those small bets and for a big win. I kind of call it the lottery ticket kind of syndrome there.
Are you seeing a lot more of that? I mean, I know the trend has been over the past year with the whole COVID mess that a lot of the favorites have been covering at an exuberant rate. Have you seen the public still bet these dogs, or are they starting to flip a little bit and jump on these favorites?
The big dogs they bet, the small dogs they don't. It's they'll usually when they'll be on the favorites in the under minus 300 and under, but once you start getting to that plus 300, plus 350 and over, that they're usually on the dog.
Yeah,
and it's a math thing too. It's like he just doesn't take nearly as much. When you're offering out there plus 400, plus 500, plus 600 on these fighters, the little bets, little risk is a big profit. So it's not even like all the public's on them, but just those smaller bets just add up to some much bigger profit.
Does your risk guys, do your odds makers, do they ever, add a little bit to the dog just to entice it a little bit more if you guys have a certain opinion on a fight, or are the price is the price for you guys?
Sure, absolutely. If we have an opinion and we have a sharp opinion, we don't mind gambling a little bit, but it depends on when that number gets up to. And again, we'll discuss that more in this Amanda Nunes fight, because that's a prime example kind of for what we're talking about right here. But at the end of the day, that closing number is going to be the sharpest number. Sure, we'll just a little bit here or there, increase some action on one side or the other, but we don't want to give a bargain to the sharps either, because they're watching, man. We take that sharp action, especially in UFC. We love taking that sharp UFC action. So if we give the other side too much of a bargain, then we'll get it stuck up, or what.
Yeah. Batman, did you do anything here?
With the odds where they currently are now, watching the weigh-ins, just because the fight odds are so high, it's a pass. Islam Makachev has a significant clinch, grappling, ground control advantage here in this fight. The interesting thing, and I know why people are buying Drew Dober here, some of the public, is because of his power. And he is very strong. He's very big for this weight class. Islam Makachev, I think, got knocked out in the first round, I think against Antonio Martins, if I'm right. I think it was like in 2015, though, but it's been like 6 years. Since then, he's been training with Khabib Nurmagomedov. This is kind of like his camp. Khabib's put all of his effort into this guy. This is their guy that they're trying to get to that level. His striking has significantly improved. He's got great ground skills, great clinch game. I understand why the sharps are on there. The current price, it's a pass, but Islam Makhachev is the right side in the fight here.
All right, let's go, Dave. Next fight, Sterling versus Peter Yan. Peter Yan's a small favorite. Any sharp action on either fighter? Anything on the side of the total? Where did it open up at? Where is it at right now?
The champ Jan opened minus 145, currently minus 134. Sterling is plus 114. Over under 3.5 rounds. The over at minus 140. The action's pretty much 50-50. 64% of the action's on the over, which again is 3.5 rounds, minus 140. Nothing too sharp here at Bet Online.
Are your limits different on the side than with the total? Could you get down more on the side than the total, Dave, down there at Bet Online?
Yeah, absolutely. The sides always, and they get so much more action too, the sides, than they do on a total. So, without a doubt, the limits are definitely more on the side.
Yeah, Batman, did you fire here with anybody?
Yeah, we this is another one where we played two as well. I think this is our sixth play of the card, and we like Aljamain Sterling at plus 115. Aljamain Sterling at the weigh-ins was significantly bigger than Peter Yan. He has a 4-inch reach advantage. He has a significantly decreased strike absorption in this matchup. He's only has a decreased strike absorption rate of 1.94. And this is fighting guys like Pedro Munoz, Jimmy Rivera. Those guys throw volume and throw punches, and that's how elusive Aljamain has been. Peter Yan is a master of the sport of boxing. He has got fabulous hands. He's got excellent power. If Peter Yan had a high-level kicking game, I think that he would be a different version in this fight. I think with just his striking prowess and Aljamain's overall game of attacks, kicking, angles, diversity, grappling, and his incredible ability to squeeze and submission control, we like Aljamain at the plus price here at plus 115.
That's good bet. All right, next fight on the board is the one Dave was talking about, Megan Anderson versus Amanda Nunes. You got a big favorite here, Dave. What's going on with this fight?
Yeah, well, this is kind of what I've already talked about a few times. When you ever have one of those big dogs, people are betting it. I mean, I could fight John Jones, and I could be the plus 600 underdog, and people would be betting me because people just don't like laying that minus 1,000 on up, or even minus 800 on up. So no difference here. I mean, Amanda's the GOAT of women's MMA. She's the best of all time, without a doubt. That's why she's minus 1,200 here. 95% of the bettors are on the other side. Anderson, currently plus 650. 88% of the action is on the over. One's currently minus 155. I mean, our exposure here is so big. It's our exposure on Anderson. It's 3 times more. Last I looked, this was a couple hours ago. 3 times more than the rest of the fights combined. The other 14 fights combined. So you take all the red figures from all the other 14 fights, and you add them all up, then you multiply that by 3, and it still doesn't cover the exposure we have on Megan Anderson at this plus 650.
I'm a little surprised that the public's betting the over, because I would think it would be correlated where you lay the big number and bet the under, since she is such a heavy favorite. Is that usually the case, or that's not the case, Dave, when it comes to the recreational sports bettor?
You know, whenever there's the totals, 1.5 rounds, they're usually on the over. It's like the other fight, Santos and Rakic, that's over under 1.5 rounds, and they're betting the over. So I think it has a lot more to do with that 1.5 rounds where they're betting the public's just, I'd say 80 to 90% of the time is betting that over blindly just because it's 1.5 rounds.
Yeah, they're betting that dog just basically to survive 1.5. It sounds kind of easy, right?
Oh, yeah.
But until you get into that UFC octagon or a boxing ring, and every second is like an hour.
Yeah, until you get punched in the face
Exactly.
by a cage fighter, right?
Hey, Dave, what was the percentage on the over of 1.5 at your shop?
Yeah, 88% of the action's on the over.
Yeah, that's strong.
You
that's
like anything, Batman? Did you do anything here with that big favorite?
No, we're just going to watch and enjoy the greatness of Amanda Nunes. I know that Megan Anderson has a 4.5-inch height advantage. She has a 3.5 inch reach advantage. The problem is that she's significantly slower, I think, than Amanda Nunes. Amanda's going to be much faster on the feet. Amanda's clinch game and ground game is really good. Megan's been submitted a couple times, I think, in the UFC. Megan's best chance here is to stay long, keep this fight up, hope Amanda wears out, hope her big stuff put some pressure on her in the later rounds. I like Amanda Nunes here in the fight, and it's a pass for us. But we're just going to watch her greatness tonight.
She's got a better chance of going to church and praying than winning this fight.
Very possibly.
All right, the next fight is the big fight, the style bender. You got Israel Adesanya versus Blachowicz. You guys must be having a ton of action on this one, Dave. Which way is the money going? Is there any sharp money on the champ here, and what's going on with the total?
Yeah, the current odds, Adesanya is minus 250. Blachowicz is plus 210, over under 2.5 rounds, with the over at minus 170. We're going to be rooting for Adesanya, it looks like. 60% of the action is on Blachowicz.
Wow.
72% is on the over. Nothing too sharp here at Bet Online. Nothing significant. But you're right. A lot of action. It's going to be a heavily bet fight by the time that opening bell sounds.
That surprises me because he looked great last time. I mean, I couldn't bet the dog here. Batman, which way are you leaning here? Which way are you betting this fight?
Well, I think a couple things stand out to me in this fight. There's been 3, and I'm not correlating this, I'm just giving an example here. There have been 3 fights where people have tried to go up a division and win the second belt in the UFC. And I believe all the people in the lower weight class going up have won. They're 3-0. And this is the 4th fight in the UFC of doing that.
Wow.
Jan Blachowicz is 38 years old. Okay, this guy has been amazing over the past couple of years. His game's improved. He went back to his old striking coach. His timing's got better. He's got better ground game. He is a BJJ black belt, which I think a lot of people don't know. And I had to kind of really dig into some of that level here. His opportunity here in this fight to try to win is definitely to get Israel to the ground and to lean on him, press him, and try to, really wear him out or get a sub and use his top, pressure control. Israel Adesanya, comes into this fight. He's going to have a 2.5 inch height advantage. He's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. It's small, but in Izzy's world, that's a huge difference. He has the best movement in the UFC on his feet. He has the best upper torso movement with his striking game, where his feet don't move, but he eludes strikers by moving his upper torso back. I think that is so imperative in his counterattacks and how he does that. I think that he's going to be the significantly faster, way more precise striker in this fight. I think he's going to wear Jan Blachowicz out. And we really like Izzy in this fight, and this would definitely be our biggest play on the card for sure.
Wow.
Israel Adesanya, we played him at minus 235. I know he went down there. He's been bet back up a little bit and stuff like that. So fair pricing now is, I think, minus 250. We still like him at minus 250 in this fight.
Did you do anything with the total? Do you like the total at all?
No, I would lean over here of 2.5 rounds just because of the movement, the durability. You know, Izzy his precision is his power, and he's been talking about that. And I think people are now starting to understand that. They don't think that he has power. Izzy has tremendous power because of his precision. He's not physically intimidating, but when you get that speed and that precision, and Jan tends to rush in, you know, if you look at a couple of his fights, when he's gotten desperate, he's rushed in, and that's when he's got finished. And I think you're going to see him in the later rounds get a little desperate, and I think that's where Izzy's going to shine.
Yeah, he's dangerous. Dave, I think that's it, right? There's no more fights on the card?
That's it, man. 15 fights is a big one.
Man, we blew that out.
That's a big one.
What are you guys doing with FCS football? You guys taking any limits on that? Are you guys, because I know there's football going on right now.
Yeah, I know it, man. Yeah, where were we at now? Like $3,000, I think. We've been bouncing up and down. You know, this is something kind of new to us. Not FCS football, but you know, taking it, you know, like we do now. Let's see what our limits are. I think we're up to $3 or so. So yeah. 2,000 right now. Yeah, we're taking action on it. It's not, you know, the big problem here is they're just not nationally televised. We were hoping, you know, ESPN2 or whatever pick it up and if it's not nationally televised, man, and then people just don't know the players of these teams, then you know, it's going to get so action. I mean, it's okay. It's a nice extra have, but I'm kind of disappointed in it. But again, it comes down to whether it's on TV or not. If people are watching, you know, Texas Southern versus Prairie View on national TV, on whatever, ESPN2 or whatever, it's going to multiply the action 8-fold probably. So that's the big problem right now. I think the playoffs will get a whole hell of a lot more action. I'm sure those games will be televised a lot more. So, you know, we're getting action. It's good. It's nice to have, but it's not moving the needle big time either way.
Yeah, the ratings definitely drive the handle.
Absolutely.
March Madness around the corner. You'll be back next week. What type of limits you take for during March Madness? I mean, they got to be monster, right?
Yeah, I think we up them to $10,000. I think, but again, we had the rebet, so you can bet another $10,000 every 61 seconds or odds move. So, yeah, and then we're shooting to have the earliest opening odds. You know, it's a dang arms war now. Everybody's trying to get those odds up earlier and earlier, but you know, we committed to that years ago, and now with all these other books in the States, they're joining the party, so it's a big competition to get those odds open first, but we're always one of the first, if not the first.
Oh, I'm always waiting. You see my Twitter account. I'm giving out overnights now just to upset some people. But so we're always waiting for Bet Online to crack that opening number so we can bang it a little bit. And, you know, we got different people that we're working with, so I don't want to say nothing. But if you want to tell everyone where you're at on Twitter and if you guys got any promo bonuses or anything like that.
Absolutely. Dave Mason, BOL. Head on over to betonline.ag and sign up. Hit up the promos page. We got a 100% bonus if you're in the crypto, and our crypto payouts are the fastest in the industry by far. I mean, we're paying people in minutes or hours instead of days like most books, or even more than a days, like a week, like some books. So if you win, you're going to get paid faster at BetOnline than you will anywhere else.
And that's why I love you guys so much, because so many times we got to sweat the game, and then we got to sweat the payout. And you guys are like that. Bang, you guys pay right out. Gotham City Batman, tell everyone where you're at. And if you want to...
Gotham City Big, all of our stuff is free content, good content. I just enjoy doing it because it's fun for us to do. You know, we respect you guys. I don't think a lot of people understand the metrics and what you guys do. I mean, I love when you tweet out some of the metrics and some of the, you know, different things that you put out on Twitter to see. You know, I wish I had that kind of time to do that. I have an ability to read a line, and then I always kind of chat with you, you know, about some things and things like that. So kudos to you. And Dave, I will tell you, I saw Philly last year in Oceans last year. I came up to see him for a little bit. And I looked over at him, and he's standing in the middle of the book, and he's hitting his cell phone like this. And I walk over, I go, man, off and reload. He goes, no, I'm trying to keep hitting the rebet button. I mean, he hit that thing so fast, Dave. I was like, he's like, it's every 60 seconds. I'm like, oh, so now it's real clear what's going on.
But we can't let Dave know what accounts we're firing on there. We got different names, man. All right, guys, thank you for everything. Another great show. We're gonna have Layfield back. He's on vacation. Harry's on vacation. The whole crew's gonna be back next week. I hope you guys enjoyed Follow the Action. And until then, man, good luck, guys.